He was terrific early. 3 touchdown passes in the first quarter. They took advantage of some SMU mistakes. First quarterback ever to throw 3 touchdown passes in any quarter of an ACC championship game. We've seen that before with Clemson. We mentioned the Pitt game. You know, the offense kind of got stagnant. You can understand it tonight. Maffa clearly way off.
Yeah.
Jay Haynes gets hurt. You know, they had to lean remarkably heavily on the passing game. And I go back to what Dabo Swinney said. I would say this directly to the people on that committee who are watching this tonight. If you watch that game and don't think that that SMU team deserves to be in the college football playoff, then I would respectfully, strongly disagree with you.
Yeah, I think when you look at everything about this game, I think it summed up a lot of things. I want to talk about SMU in a moment, but I want to first acknowledge what we just saw from Adam Randall. Adam Randall, I don't know how many snaps he played tonight. I don't know how many
Very
he did.
few. You know, the reality is, and I was going to make that point, I'm sure you were too. He was a very highly touted recruit. He's a junior now, and he's been a little bit of a disappointment, and even a lot of a disappointment to a lot of Clemson fans.
And he hasn't had those opportunities, but Dabo speaks of culture. Dabo speaks of buy-in. And Adam Randall is an example of what Clemson football has been about for the better part of a decade and a half. They are all the way down to their 3rd-string kick return guy, and a guy who has been kind of pushed down the depth chart a little bit behind 2 true freshmen at wide receiver, and yet he gets his number called, goes in, makes the play of the game, gives him a chance to execute the declare down situation to kick the game-winning field goal. I think that is an example of what Dabo preaches all the time: the culture, the buy-in, and the teamwork, and just the camaraderie that they've created over the course of nearly 2 decades.
You want to make your point about SMU?
Yeah, of course. I think this is one thing that's going to be fascinating in that committee room, because when you think about what we watched tonight, I don't think anyone can come out of this thinking that SMU doesn't belong. I think they absolutely have proven that they are good enough. They just went toe-to-toe with the class of the ACC for the last 10 years, and they almost pulled it off and played bad, by the way. That was the bad performance from SMU relative to what they're capable of.
At the beginning of the game.
Correct. But the turnovers,
they played very well after about the first quarter, really controlled the game.
They had their C game and almost won the ACC Championship game tonight. That just goes to show you what this team is capable of. But the committee has a very dangerous precedent that could be set if SMU is left out, because then you are essentially telling people you're de-incentivizing the conference championship game. And that's a very concerning thing, I think, for the health of college football.
And why would you want to do that? How great was last night and today because of the meaning of all of these conference playoff games? You know, I love this 12-team format. But if the message is, we thought you were better than Alabama or these other teams last week, so you go compete your rear end off in a classic, as it turned out, championship game and lose on a field goal at the buzzer, and now we're going to move you back. Then, you know, I would agree with what Lashley said. Going forward, why would teams even want to come and play in a conference championship game?
And I think that's a concern for the overall health and well-being of the college football ecosystem. The conference championship is supposed to be a reward, and to use it as a penalty in this scenario, I think would be a dangerous precedent to set in the future. And I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not sure the decision that'll be made. I'm sure it'll be a contentious and hotly debated conversation, but I don't think you want to de-incentivize participation in conference championship games. That'd be bad for the sport.
I think they've earned it. Yeah, I think their resume is good enough. It's better. You know, they shouldn't be outside of the 12, in my opinion. Clemson's definitely in the 12. It'll be interesting to see, will they get a bye?